Organization is notified by supplier about a defect in a software product that they use. What practice describes the activities needed to log and manage this? Incident management. This is an example of the incident. In the incident management, there is a formal process for logging and managing incident. Which competencies are required by the service level management practices? Business analysis and commercial management. Business analysis and commercial management are competencies required by the service level management practices. Which practices use techniques such as SWOT analysis, balanced scorecard reviews, and maturity assessments? Continual improvement. In continual improvement, when assessing the current state, there are many techniques that can be employed, such as strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. SWOT analysis, a balanced scorecard review, internal and external assessment and audits, or perhaps even a combination of several techniques. Organizations should develop competencies in methodologies and techniques that will meet their needs. Which guiding principle is primarily concerned with consumers' revenue and growth? Focus on value. This section is mostly focused on the creation of value for service consumers. This value may come in various forms, such as revenue, customer loyalty, lower cost, or growth opportunities. Which guiding principle recommends standardizing and streamline manual tasks? Optimize and automate. Important consideration in optimize and automate guiding principle is to simply streamline and optimize before automating. Your company has five branch offices located across the country. To support each of these branch office, a small service desk has been created for each office, and each co-located with the users to whom they are providing service and support. One model of service desk is your company using. Local. A local service desk involves service desk analysts working in a co-located space or building. If your company has multiple locations, then local service desk could be created as such each location instead of relying on one centralized or virtual service desk. Local. Which statement about the service desk is correct? The service desk should work in close collaboration with support and development teams. The service desk should work in close collaboration with support and development teams. Correct. How should an organization include third-party suppliers in the continual improvement of service? Ensure suppliers include details of their approaches to service improvement in contract. When contracting for suppliers' services, the contract should include details of how they will measure, report on, and improve their service over the life of the contract. Identify the missing words in the following sentence. A change is defined as an addition, modification, or removal of anything that could have direct or indirect effect on services. Change the addition, modification, or removal or anything that could have a direct or indirect effect on service. Which practice has proposed that includes helping the organization to maximize value, control cost, and manage risk? ITSM management. The purpose of the ITSM management practice is to plan and manage the full life cycle of the IT assets to help the organization maximize value, control cost, and manage risks. Which practice own and manage issues, queries, and requests from users? Service desk. The purpose of the service desk practice is capture demand for instant resolution and service request. It should also be the entity point and the single point of contact (SPOC) for the service provider with all of its users. Service desk provide a clear path for users to report issue, queries, and requests, and have them acknowledged, classified, owned, and actioned. When planning continual improvement, which approach for assessing the current state of service is correct? Our organization should always develop competencies in methodologies and technologies that will meet their needs. Our organization should always develop competencies in methodologies and techniques that will meet their needs. Which guiding principle emphasizes the need to understanding the flow of work in progress, identify bottlenecks, and uncover waste, collaborate and promote visibility. Collaborate and work promote visibility stage. Insufficient visibility of work lead to poor decision making, in which in turn impacts the organization's ability to improve internal capabilities. It will then become difficult to improve as it will not be clear which ones likely to have the greatest positive impact on results. To avoid this, the organization needs to perform such critical analysis activities as understanding the flows of work in progress, identifying bottlenecks, as well as excess capacity, and uncovering waste. What role do service provider and service consumers have in relation to risk? Service provider should manage the detailed level of risk on behalf of the consumer. It is a duty of the provider to manage the detailed level of risk on behalf of the consumer. How should the workflow for a new service request be designed? Leveraging existing workflows whenever possible. Leveraging existing workflows whenever possible based on the guiding principle. Start where you are. Which describes standard change. A change that is typically implemented as a service request. Service requests are predefined and pre-agreed as a normal part of service delivery. They can usually be formalized with a clear standard procedure for initiation, approval, fulfillment, and management. Fulfillment of service requests may include changes to service and their component. Usually these are standard changes. Which statement about the steps to fulfill a service request is correct? They should be well known and proven. In all cases, service requests should be well known and proven. Some service requests have very simple workflow, such as requests for information. Others, such as a setup of a new employee, may be quite complex and require contribution of many teams and systems for fulfillment. Identify the missing words in the following sentence. The management of information security incident usually requires separate process. There are usually separate processes for managing major incident and for managing information security incident. Which statement about known errors and the problem is correct? Known error is a status assigned to a problem after it has been analyzed. Known error is a problem where initial analysis has been completed. It usually means that faculty of components have been identified. The problem remains in the known error status and the document workaround is applied. What does the service request management practices depend on maximum efficiency? Process and procedures. Service request management depends upon well-designed processes and procedures, which are operationalized through the tracking and automation tool to maximize the efficiency of the practice. Which dimension consider how knowledge assets should be protected, information and technology. The challenge of information management, such as those present by security and regulatory compliance requirements, are also the focus of the dimension. For example, the organization may be subject to the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which influence its information management policies and practices. Which statement about the outcomes is correct? An outcome can be enabled by more than one output. An outcome can be enabled by more than one output. Which a key requirement for a successful service level agreement? It should be simply written and easy to understand. SLA should be simply written and easy to understand. What considerations influence the supplier strategy of the organization? Corporate culture of the organization. Corporate culture. Some organizations have historical preference for one approach over another. Long-standing cultural bias is difficult to change without comparing the regions. How should the organization adopt continuous improvement method? Select a few key methods for the types of improvement that the organization handles. Select a few key methods for the types of improvement that the organization handles, according to the guiding principle of progressive iterative with feedback. Progressive iterative with feedback. Identify the missing word in the following sentence. The purpose of the supplier management practice is to ensure that the organization's supplier and their performance are managed appropriately to support the seamless provision of quality product and services. Performance. The purpose of the supplier management practice is to ensure that the organization suppliers' their performances are managed appropriately to support the seamless provision of quality product and services. Which guiding principle recommends eliminating activities that do not contribute to the creation of values? Keep it simple and practical. Keep it simple and practical stage. If a process, service, action, or metric fails to provide a value of or produce a useful outcome, eliminate it. In the process of procedure, use a minimum number of steps necessary to accomplish the objectives. Always use outcome-based thinking to produce practical solutions that deliver results. How should the 7 guiding principles be combining when an organization is making a decision? Review each guiding principle to decide how relevant it is to the specific decision. All guiding principles interact with depend upon each other. Their organization should not use just one or two of the principles, but should consider the relevance of each of them and how they apply together. Which practice may involve the initiation of disaster recovery, incident management? Some extreme cases, disaster recovery plans may be invoked to resolve an incident, which describe a set of defined steps of implementing improvement. Continual improvement model. Continual improvement model describes a set of defined steps for implementing improvement. Step 1. What is the vision? Step 2. Where are we now? Step 3. Do we want to be? Step 4. How do we get there? Step 5. Take action. Step 6. Did we get there? Step 7. How do we keep the momentum going? What is the main benefit of following the guiding principle of progress iterative with feedback? Faster responses to customers and business needs. The guiding principles of progress iterative with feedback allows for faster responses to customer and business need. Which practice update information relating to symptoms and business impact? Incident management. Incident management practices update information relating to symptoms and business impact. Which practice provides visibility of the organization's service by capturing and reporting on the service performance? Service level management. Service level management provides the end-to-end visibility of the organization's service. To achieve this, service level management captures and reports on service issues, including performance against defined service levels. Which of the following is an example of a workaround? A server is restarted to resolve an incident. Restarting a server is some kind of workaround. It solves the incident, but the problem is still existing. Which is the purpose of the engaged value chain activity? Providing transparency and good relationships. Purpose of the engaged value chain activity is to provide a good understanding of stakeholders' need, transparency, and continual engagement and good relationship with all stakeholders. What does a centralized service desk require? Knowledge base, remote access tools, and good workflow systems from routing and escalation. Centralized service desk is located in a single location, in headquarters, serving or organization's locations. It should have knowledge base, remote access tools, and good workflow systems from routing and escalation. What are engage and plan and improve examples of service value chain activities? The 6 value chain activities are plan, improve, engage, design and transition, obtain and build, deliver and support. Which guiding principle helps to ensure that better information is available for decision making? Collaborate and work promote visibility. In collaborate and promote visibility principle, when initiate involves the right people in the correct roles. Effort benefit from better buy-in, more relevance, because better information is available for decision making, and increase the likelihood of long-term success. Which guiding principle recommends using existing services, processes, and tools when improving services? Start where we are. The hint is using existing. Is start where you are. What is the recommendation of the focus on value guiding principle? Focus on value at every step of the improvement. The focus on value guiding principle recommends to focus on value at every step of the improvement, which is a part of the service provision. The management of resources configured to deliver the service. Service provision, activities performed by an organization to provide service. What is a warranty? Assurance that a product or service will meet agreed requirement. Warranty, assurance that a product or service will meet agreed requirement. It can be summarized as how the service performs and can be used to determine whether the service is fit for use. Warranty often related to service levels aligned with needs of service consumers. It addresses areas such as availability, capacity, continuity, and security. Which is an example of business-related measurement. The measurement of the number of passengers who checked in. The number of passengers who checked in is only example of business-related measurement. Our others are operational measurement. Which is the best description of the value of the service for customers? The customer's perception of benefit of using the services. Value is defined as perceived benefits, usefulness, and the importance of something. What is defined as cause, potential cause of one or more incident? Problem, a cause or potential cause one or more incident. Lara has been hired by your company to lead the process improvement effort. You have been shared with her overall vision for the process improvement, and she began to analyze your current resources, processes, and matrices. What step of the continual improvement model Lara performing? Where are we now? We focus on determining the current state of organization, including mapping out of existing processes, conducting objectives measurement through metrics and available resources. Why should the service desk staff detecting recurring issues? To help identify problems. Problems identification or track activities, identify and log problems. These include the detection of duplicating and recurring issues by users, service desk, and the technical support staff. How does information about problems and known errors contribute to incident management? They enable quick and efficient diagnosis of incident. Problem and known errors enable quick and efficient diagnosis of incident. Organization will suffer from the poor decision making, lack of improvement in internal capabilities, and difficulty with driving improvement if they are not performed with critical analysis activities. Understanding the flow of work in progress, identifying bottlenecks as well as excess capacity, uncovering waste. Insufficient visibility of works leads to poor decision making, which in turn impacts the organization's ability to improve internal capabilities. It will then become difficult to drive improvement as it will not be clear which ones are likely to have the greatest positive impact on result. To avoid this, the organization needs to perform such critical analysis activities as understanding the flow of work in progress, identifying bottlenecks as well as excess capacity, uncovering waste. Note, withholding information from stakeholders is against the collaborate and promote visibility guiding principle. Which practice would help a user gain access to an application that they need to use? Service request management. Access management is part of service request management practice. When should a change request be submitted to resolve problems? As soon as the analysis cost, risk, and benefits justifies the change. A change request can be submitted to resolve the problem as soon as the analysis of cost, risk, and benefits justifies the change. Which statement about the continual improvement register is correct? It should be reprioritized as ideas are documented. Continual Improvement Register (CIR) is a database structure documented used to track and manage improvement ideas from identification through final action. Some organizations can have more than one CIR, which other organization can maintain a single master CIR but segment how it is used and by whom at a more granular level. In all cases, it should be reprioritized as ideas are documented. Which guiding principle describes the importance of doing something instead of spending a long time analyzing different options? Progress iterative with feedback. Progress iterative with feedback recommends comprehending the whole about do something. Sometimes the greatest enemy to progressing iteratively is desire to understanding and account for everything. This can lead to what has sometimes been called analysis paralysis, in which so much time is spent analyzing the situation that nothing ever gets done about it. What is a component of service value system? The four dimensions of service management. The core component of the SBS are the service value chain, the practices, the guiding principles, governance, continual improvement. Which is the purpose of the monitoring and event management practices? To systematically observe services and service component and record and report selected change of state. The purpose of the monitoring and event management practices is to systematically observe service and service component and record and report selected changes of state identified as event. This practice identifies and prioritizes infrastructure, services, business processes, and information security events, and establishes the appropriate response of those events, including responding to conditions that could lead to potential fault and incidents. Which two statements about organization's culture are correct? First and fourth. It creates from the shared values based on how it carries out its work. It should be based on objectives of the organization. Organization's culture is created from shared value based on how it carries out its work and should be based on the objectives of the organization. Which practice involves the management of vulnerabilities that have been analyzed by non-resolved? Problem management. Every service has errors, flaws, and vulnerabilities that may cause incidents. That may include errors in any of four dimensions of service management. Many errors are identified and resolved before the service goes live. However, some remain unidentified or unresolved, and many may be a risk to leave services. These errors are called problems, and they are addressed by the problem management change. What is a service request? Which is a service request? Requesting information about how to create a document. Requesting information about how to create a document is an example of a service request. Service request. A request from the user or user's authorized representatives that initiate a service action which has been agreed as normal part of service delivery. Each service request activity includes one or more of the following: a request for service delivery action, providing a report or replacing a toner cartridge, a request information, how to create document or what the hours of the office are, a request for a provision of a service or service, providing phone or a laptop user or providing a virtual server for development team, a request of access to resource service, providing access to file folder, feedback complaint and complaint about new feedback, new interface and or complement to a team. In what order should an organization optimize and automate activities? Optimize first and then automate. Before the activity can be effectively automated, it should be optimized to whatever degree it is possible and reasonable. What is the purpose of deployment management practices? To move new or change the component to live environment. The purpose of the deployment management practice is to move new or change hardware, software, documentation, processes, and or any component to live environment. It may also be involved in deployment components to other environment for testing or staging.